My name is Allison, and my son Craig has been coming to see Beth for about a year and a half. He started coming here when he was a sophomore in high school, and his dad and I knew that his grades were not a reflection of his ability because he tested well. We know him well. We know how capable and intelligent and articulate he is, yet his grades were not very strong, and we were becoming concerned because grades in high school are so important, and our family motto is no regrets. And we felt like if he didn't begin to see the importance of improving his grades, he would regret it later because his options would be limited. So that was our impetus for trying to get some more creative kind of help for him. SOS was recommended by friends who had had success for their own son. And we brought Craig in, and to his great credit, he was very open-minded and enthusiastic about the possibility that this might be something that could help him out. And it took a while to really help. It was clear that he was learning new strategies, but he was still struggling with implementing those strategies on his own. And my job as a parent was to try and step back and let him implement on his own. So that was really hard. That was really hard. It's still really hard, but now that he's really showing some success with it, it's fantastic to see him independently looking for his own success and making it happen. It became clear after a year or so of his working with Beth and still struggling with grades that maybe there was a little bit more happening there. We ended up finally, at Beth's suggestion, having him tested and being diagnosed with ADD or ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination of that knowledge and his willingness to try some medication that might help his focus, and then the pre-existing knowledge of the strategies that he had under his belt with Beth was a great combination. Like somehow it has all come around. He's kind of come into his own, and he's a junior now. He's just finishing his junior year, so and his grades this semester are so much better. And it's not just his grades, he understands why it's important. He knows where he's at. He can track and keep track of what he can expect from how a project is going to affect his grade, how a final is important in the weight. He really understands where he's at with any given class and any given teacher.
How would you say SOS helped change your dynamic with Craig?
Well, I will say, from the very beginning, Beth said that my job was going to be to step back and kind of get out of his face. And, because up until that point, he was so distracted and frankly I couldn't even tell what he cared about as far as his academics, because when he was in class, he was doing great. And, he loves learning, and he's a smart guy, and when he's really interested in enjoying something, we don't worry about him at all. But when he's not interested in something and when he's not enjoying it, which, what high school kid loves everything at school, that's when he struggled, and that's where we felt the need to push him or remind him or be on his case or take things away so that he could focus on his homework and that kind of thing. And it caused a lot of stress between mostly me and him, and a little bit his dad. His dad was a little bit better about trying to step back. So I would say that now that it's really clear that his strategies that he's implementing on his own are working for him, it's been easier for me to step back. I still find myself asking, but he always has an answer, and before he didn't always have the answer. So that's been, it's been great for me as a mom. I don't know, I can't speak for Craig, but yeah, it's been amazing.
What would you tell parents as a explanation for what SOS can do for a student or a family, how would you explain the benefits of bringing your kid to this kind of support and service?
Well, I think it does a couple things. I think it's a gift to your child as well as to yourself. It's a gift to your relationship with your child because, first of all, I know that Craig respects Beth,
Mhm.
and has a great working relationship with her, and it takes away that whole parental dynamic, and in a way that he knows that you have his best interests at heart, and so he's much more willing to listen and work with you. And he really does now see what he is capable of. He sees it for himself. He doesn't see it because we're telling him he could do it. He sees it because you've shown him that he can do it. And that's pretty amazing.
Looking back now, what would you say to a family or parent about the best ways to support a child that has organizational difficulties? Hindsight is always 20/20.
It is, but even at the time, I knew that what we were doing wasn't working, so we needed to get outside help. And he didn't need a tutor. He didn't need. His issues weren't in his ability to learn. It was in how well he could perform in an academic environment and in a high school environment.
Mm-hmm.
And given, we're in a public school and there's big classes and there's a wide range of abilities and focus, I think that we realized the best way to get him help was to just have somebody working with him one-on-one who could just help him with the day-to-day structure of how he went about doing his work, how he went about prioritizing his work, and not taking out the necessity of having to just ride him all the time to make sure he was getting done what he needed to get done. Because there's no amount of nagging that can make that happen. It just has to be their own realization that there's a way to get it done.
It's definitely easier
Know what you're doing.
to work in school when I know where I can find the things that I need, like my notes or my homework. It's not stressful to go to school because I know that I'm showing up to each class with what I need for that day, and I know what I need and I know what I need to do, and it's really easy. Well, it's not really easy, but it's easier than it was.